Hi, Dr. Ruth Anderson here with Enlightened World Network. I'm so pleased to have you join us for today's rendition of Divine Relationship Recovery with our host, Deb Goldberg. If you've enjoyed any of these shows before, this one is going to be fascinating. We're talking about how we're all doing right now and what does it mean to have a foot in each realm. Can't wait for this to unfold. Before we get started, I wanted to invite you to a couple of different things offered by Enlightened World Network. This Saturday at 4 o'clock Eastern, we have Come to Dinner. Come to Dinner is for folks across the globe, whoever wants to join us in the Zoom room. And we just check in and see how is everybody doing. Our guest host that evening is Reverend Gerald Ann Peterson. So please join us for that. The next day, Sunday, starting at 10 o'clock a.m. Eastern Time, we have a silent meditation. The silent meditation is a beautiful time to come and join us in meditation with Deb Goldberg and Terry Angel and I. And we play music for you while you meditate, and then the three of us meditate together. And after about 20 or 25 minutes, we come back on and share with you what we've experienced and who we've seen. And often it includes Christ, Divine Mother, the Ascended Masters, God, Earth Angels, the Archangels. Always something fascinating is being shared out because truly we are in fascinating times. And then after that at 11 o'clock a.m. Eastern Time, we'll be doing Come to the Healing Pool. Come to the Healing Pool is a time that I will lead a guided meditation into the ethereal realm to be at the healing pool with Divine Mother, the Archangels, and we'll just explore that time together and see what we notice with ourselves, our own bodies, both in the physical realm and what's happening with us in spirit in the ethereal realm. So those are the big shows coming up next. Deb, are you ready to lead us into Divine Relationship Recovery?
Yes, I am. Now that we finally got it straightened out. Thank you. Thank you, Ruth. It's always a pleasure to be here. So today's topic is trusting the divine process. And talking to God this week, he had asked me to talk about trust and the trust of the process of unfolding, that our lives unfolding, our journeys unfolding in divine timeline, and how we're doing with trusting that everything is in divine order, and how we see ourselves right now. How are we doing with that trust? Because we talk about the understanding that the universe or God or spirit is always driving us, that it is us. But at the same time, it's easy to take on other feelings of feeling pressure that you are doing things yourself. So we're gonna talk about this today. And I had said, let's get off the merry-go-round of feeling pressure to ascend. And it really is difficult to believe that we are saying we are exactly where we are and we're supposed to be on our journey. And then we keep trying to rush transformation happening, or we rush this to happen or that to happen. So we want to really work on how we're doing with allowing and accepting our journey right where it is, and allowing this divine timeline to unfold in its unique manner and its unique way for each one of us, because we're each going to have our own unique journey that is perfect just for us. And one of the things that I say a lot is that we don't transform ourselves. God is transforming us every single moment of the day. God is in control. That is the spirit that you are, and it has created a beautiful story for you. And it unfolds in the way that it's supposed to. But I know even myself, I have gone through rushing myself, and I want to ascend more, and I want to go higher. And this really creates pressure in me, and I know it does for other people. So I know I'm talking to a lot of light workers, and we just went through this huge pressure of let's ascend, let's ascend, let's ascend. It's coming, it's coming, it's coming. Well, here it is. It happened. So energetically, whatever we were hoping for is here. And it's perfect. And it's giving each one of us an opportunity to really kind of test and check in with yourself and see where you are in this moment. Are you trusting, or has fear taken over? And of course, there's nothing wrong with being in a state of fear. It's natural, it's normal. But where are you? So Ruth, tell us what's where you are in trusting this divine process.
And I would say, what time is it? Because it changes. It changes all the time. First and foremost, I believe in my heart of hearts that this is a fascinating time to be alive. I know that as a spirit. I know that even in my body, but sometimes I get pulled back into the reality in quotes of things. And so a lot of times I feel like I'm a foot in one realm and a wing in the other, if that makes any sense. And I just kind of go back and forth from one to the other. So it really does depend on what time it is and who I'm talking to. Because if I'm talking to friends that don't believe in any kind of spirituality, then I'm right down with them in the earthly concerns. If I'm talking with you and Terry and other folks from Enlightened World Network, then it's easier for me to stay in that place of spiritually, I know what's happening. But I do want to respond to something you said, which is that we are all in our own place of learning and growing. And I know when I first was awakened, as you would say, I was clearly put on a fast track curriculum. And it wasn't my curriculum. I had no idea what was being rolled out to me. And it was fascinating, but it was clearly a curriculum. And I know that this time I'm continuing to work on my own curriculum. And you are, and so is Terry. And the things that we're all three working on are different, but there's also threads of commonality to it all. So, sometimes I'm going to just choose to wallow a little bit in the earthly concerns, and other times I'm going to choose to soar.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think that's normal. That's what happens for everybody. And so, you brought up a great question. How do you walk in both worlds? So, God tells me you never left home. You're right here in divine. You are divine consciousness. That's all that exists. And you're having a dream. But this sure feels real. It feels real to be having this life on earth. So you work on what you're being taught internally becomes your knowingness, and it needs to override your senses, basically. Jesus has told me over and over again, do not let your senses tell you what's going on, that you have to stay in your knowingness. And that practice is a lifelong journey because our senses are keen, but our senses are not as expansive as our knowingness is. So when you start to learn divine truth, and that's what you're talking about, when you woke up and you had a curriculum, so did I. And it was like, wow, what are you telling me? I don't even understand what I'm hearing, but I know that the love that I felt in that awakening was so profound that I knew that I had to believe what I was hearing, because the love is so much greater than anything you've experienced in life. There is no love like that. It's complete unconditional love. So when it's teaching you, you say, okay, this is, we're going to undo what you learned here, and you're going to relearn what it is that you are, which is spirit and oneness, and that you have more power and understanding than you ever could realize. And all of that power does come through your heart, through love. So when you have your senses wanting to keep you right here in, oh my goodness, the confusion of life, it is hard to deny when, you put your hand on the fire, it hurts, right? You get burned. So it's hard to deny those things that we understand through our senses. But when you can relax into truth, and you know that there is no confusion when you're there, you know that it's just pure love, and that you feel that over anything else, you start to trust it. So walking this earth is it is really a job of staying present. It is staying present in your awareness, and you're constantly asking, what am I seeing? If something is bothering you, or you see something outside of yourself, or you hear something inside of you, what is this? What is it that I'm experiencing? What is it that I'm seeing? That you question. So, am I looking at this in the right point of view? And you get an answer. It comes through, and it comes through either you hear words, and you hear it in your own voice, or you can hear a different voice. But you hear it even in your heart. Your heart starts speaking words to you. Even if you haven't heard anything, you get an idea that maybe, oh, okay, this is a new way of me seeing something. It's a different perspective. So when you're walking back and forth, you do teeter-totter. You're walking walking in the earth, and you are knowing that I'm home with God, that I'm just kind of watching myself go through the process. And other times I'm like right into whatever's going on here. And so you don't want to be so removed that you don't participate in life. What's so important is staying above the fray, stay in the light, stay in truth, and keep your heart open. Your heart open, filled with compassion for yourself and for others. And that's how we do this, is that, so I go back and forth. That's the way it was meant. It was meant. Here's contrast. Earth is contrast. So I always have something to correct me with contrast to go back home. Say, oh, wait a minute. I don't know if I believe that. I don't know if this is true. Is this true for me? I need to go back in and return home. And if I don't understand, I ask for clarification. So we walk this with an open heart, and we feel our feelings, because our feelings are a navigation system for us. They're all energy. Our thoughts are energy. Our feelings are energy. So God gave us this beautiful system that we're all, well, most of us are just learning how to feel. I know I'm one of those people that it's taken me a long time to actually feel my feelings and want to feel my feelings, from going from stuffing them all my life. And so that is that's a lesson that we're learning. And right now you have so many feelings coming up and so many thoughts. Where are you with trusting this process? Where are you with knowing that you are so guided and never alone, that your hand is being held, that you are being moved, you're actually being moved in all that you do? The motion is spirit, the motion is God. Except when we try to take control, and that is the spiritual ego. You have any thoughts about that, Ruth?
They all just kind of come flooding in all at once. It's kind of hard to separate them out. I had an experience this morning that I was telling Deb about earlier today, that in meditation, a happy thing brought absolute tears to my eyes. And Archangel Michael said, let it out. And I'm thinking, this is crazy. This is a happy thing. And I'm just like, tears and tears. He goes, let it out. It's okay, let it out. And then he said, and you're going to have loss. Like, allow yourself to feel, because you're not done. And I said, okay, what kind of loss am I going to have? Because so far, I don't know anyone personally who's been impacted by the virus. And then I was told 3 different family members that were going to not be with me in a year. And I believe that before I came into what I'm seeing as this lifetime, I had the option to co-create different end dates of when my life in this realm would be done. And I was shown before that one of them was now with the virus. And I've chosen to not go that route at this point. I want to stick around. I want to see what this new world is about. And I want to be here for my daughters. So I already had that realization about myself. But with these other family members, they may not want to be here to see what's going to happen. And it's their option to choose to, that's what I had predestined before, walking with God, and I'm going to choose to go out. And so this morning I was faced with that. Wow, that's really real to me right now. If in a year's time, those 3 are not in my life, and how does that impact me? And it was fascinating because, with talking with Deb and Terry, I understand it. I get it. If before they came into this world, they chose, I don't want to be around for that. So I'm going to self-select out when it's that time. I so get that on a spiritual level. And then there's the other part of me that goes, hold on, I don't really want to go through this without you. So can you not do that? Could you change your mind about that? So it's been fascinating, but that definitely brought me this morning into, okay, I've got, 1 foot up here and I get it. And I've got 1 foot down here, and I'm kind of doing this straddling thing right now. So the conversation this morning was helpful. And maybe you want to share some of that, Deb.
Some of the conversation about
that you and I had this morning.
Yeah, well, I said the spiritual ego tries to get us not to feel. It wants to focus on performance. It wants to focus on everything else but feeling. And the spiritual ego, and I'm talking to light workers that, and they're aware of what the spiritual ego is that, oh, I know that's not true. So I'm not going there. Like, I'm above that. I don't have to feel that. I know that it's wrong. And the inside of us, we're so complex in this experience that we have feelings on different levels. And so I could sit here and tell you I know what I believe, but there's a part of me crying, or a part of me that's sad, or part of me that's angry. And if I'm sitting in my spiritual ego, I'm saying, whatever, it's okay. I don't have to deal with that. I know better. And what we have to do is actually feel those feelings. There are layers. You want to look at it as an inner child. There's an inner child crying inside because it's scared. And we don't always like to be vulnerable, and we don't like to feel scared. But there's parts of us that do feel those things for us, and we need to validate those parts of us. We need to go in and feel our feelings, even if they don't make sense. I've had tears come and I'm like, I'm crying, but I don't know why I'm crying. But it's okay. It's a release. It is a release. So to say that, now I could say that I feel very peaceful about what is going on here, and know that everything is in divine order, and I believe that with my heart. It doesn't mean that I don't have moments of feeling scared or wondering what if, or any of those type of things. And so I have to deal with those, because if not, they get larger, and it's sort of like it starts chasing you. The more you keep shoving it down, the more those feelings start chasing you, and they get larger and larger, and you're just going to bring more of it into your surroundings. It'll just keep showing up, because you're going to have to deal with those feelings that are going on inside of you, even if they don't make sense. So it's hard to say that anyone is sitting in perfect peace through this whole experience. And I feel like I have a lot of faith in God, right? I feel like I'm pretty grounded, although I know there's room for so much more the rest of my life to get even more anchored. So you can't go through this whole experience and say that you don't have any emotion about it.
You know, Deb, I've heard it referred to as a spiritual bypass, where instead of feeling the feelings, you're going to go, okay, wait, God, I'm just going to be with you. I'm just going to float up here. And then you're not experiencing the things here that we're meant to experience.
Yes. So yeah, that would be a great term for that. I call that spiritual ego and spiritual bypass. But it is actually an ego process versus a higher. But it's all part of our learning. Like if I don't experience that, I don't understand it.
Yeah. And I would say to anybody listening in that, and you've said this before, Deb, wherever you are right now is perfect. If you need to head in the sand and pretend like none of it's happening, that's perfect for you right now. If you need to be in the trenches and feel every bit of it, that's perfect. It's all okay.
Yes, all of it. All of it is okay. Because if not, you're saying you're not okay. I shouldn't be where I am. And you hear this over and over and over again from light workers, right? You're exactly where you need to be. But then we say, well, no, I should be here instead of there. And I should be feeling this way instead of that way. And I should be, my life should look like this instead of that. Right. That's a complete discrepancy, right? And we do this all the time. I say that the ego is such hypocrisy that we talk out of both sides of our mouth, and we don't even realize that we're doing it. Because it's really very humorous. The more that you can laugh at yourself, the easier all of this is, because it is complete hypocrisy. But this is what goes on inside of ourselves. I know where I'm supposed to be, and then you hear this voice, this chatter telling you, oh no, I should be doing this, I should be doing that. And it keeps coming back to saying, okay, I know what that voice is. I know I'm perfect where I am. Even if I'm in bed right now with the covers over my head, I am going to learn something. I am going to learn something about myself. And this is the way that I'm choosing to experience the moment right now. I get a choice to say, I'm going to choose how I want to experience this feeling or what I'm viewing. And I think this is a really important point too, is because I had to go in and do some work on with my inner child. And I think that was yesterday. I've lost track of days already. And I had to remind myself, because this is what I heard from within, that I need to see me. I need to see me. I need to see my own perfection. I need to see the greatness of who I am as divine light, as you are, no different than you are. And that what we're experiencing here is looking at it as the whole totality of us as spirit, even with the covers pulled over our head. It does not change the fact that you are divine light, that you are love, that you are whole, that you are peace, that you are hope. You have all of this inside of you. Nothing changes, no matter what you're feeling in any moment, sadness, grief, anger, happy, nothing changes your perfection and your wholeness of who you are. So these are all the things that as you spend more time with whatever you call God, I call divine love God, by spending time in that space within you, all of this wisdom starts to pour through. All of this love starts to pour through. All of this understanding, all of the holding you in such great love for whatever you're going through at any moment. So I know that part of the spiritual ego, the ego, whatever you want to call it, it's all the same thing. The ego tries to mimic your divinity by being a spiritual ego. And so learning all of these things and saying, that's not my consciousness. I have one mind with God. There is only one mind with God. And I keep getting sucked into this other consciousness, which we call duality. And that consciousness is ego thought, but it is there for contrast. It is there to help us grow. I was just writing earlier about each one of us is like a character in a book, and we are being developed. We are being spiritually matured as each chapter comes along. And as you turn each page, whether you want to look at that as a day or a moment, it is a never ending, it's a huge book. And our character is being developed, whether we're trying to do it or not. You can't force yourself to transform and ascend. God is in charge of that. God wrote your story. Your story is so magnificent. We may not like our stories, but when we wake up, we start to understand them differently. And then you have other parts of your story in the future that are just beautiful, that start to unfold as you unfold. And so you're waking up to remembering more of who you are. You're not changing, you're going back to your original nature and stopping believing all the unconscious stuff, all the ego thoughts. So this is a lot of work.
Yeah, it is. Deb, can I share with you a comment from our friend Stephanie Stafford on Facebook? She said, ego, that can be someone's downfall if not contained and respectful of not just yourself, but also other folks.
Well, I know that whenever I am being driven by my ego, and that comes up a lot because it's always there. It's like, that is the veil of unconsciousness. It is always there. So the ego, if it wasn't for this ego consciousness, we wouldn't be having this experience. Spirit does not need to do anything. It's divine, it's consciousness. I like to look at it as this is really divine imagination. This is quite an imagination to come up with all of these stories for this dream. And so your ego is, or you want to call it this one ego, it is only one. You are only one. This consciousness, all that it is conscious, is an unconsciousness, a state of unconsciousness. And it is perfect. It is divinely made. It is divinely created for our experience. And so we can, at times, I could say I got stuck in my ego for 56 years. I had no idea there was something else other than what I was looking at in front of me. But it was perfect in my story. My story was to wake up abruptly. And that is the way that it was planned. So how do you start looking at everything that you see as love? Because we want to look at ego as part of the experience of love. Like we wouldn't have the contrast to understand other things. So I was thinking about, okay, so I look at some people's behavior, even my own, and I say, well, that's just fear. I'm seeing just fear that they're scared or I'm scared. But if you keep going down to the bottom of that thought, most people are acting out of love. They're trying to protect themselves in some way. They're trying to protect somebody else in some way. So most of those actions they're just misaligned, but they're love. And when we start looking at our job is to understand that all that there is love. There's only one mind of God. That how do I just do my best at? It's sort of like a game. How do I keep coming home from being in ego consciousness? It's like a game, right? I got to pull myself back. I got to keep pulling myself back. And I got very frustrated with that process. And I had a talk with John the Baptist about it. And he said, isn't it fun? Isn't it fun, Deb? You could look at it as fun instead of looking at it as frustration. It is all about how I want to experience what is happening in the moment, right? We get to change our view. So we get to change our view on the ego. We know what it is. It is there to help us along in this experience. It's supposed to help us fall asleep and then wake up to the magic of this miracle life.
I'm sorry, Deb. I'm chuckling at your comment because where else do you hear lines like, I had a talk with John the Baptist the other day?
It is funny. It is funny. I have no idea who shows up, except there's a reason for it too, and it's part of the story. It's part of Deb's story. And but it is amazing that all of my teachings is don't judge, right? And that's what we know, that that's all the ego does is judge, right? So this journey is about not judging yourself wherever you are. And this is such a great time right now to go further and deeper into yourself and explore yourself with spirit.
Right.
Not by yourself.
Perfect time for that, really.
Perfect. Yeah. Because you're not doing it by yourself. You couldn't do it by yourself if you wanted to. So Kimberly says, it's funny to think of Jesus or John the Baptist making jokes the way we would in today's day. Totally, yes. It could even be slapstick at times. The sense of humor of God, and I look at all of these images that come to me as Jesus is, angels is John, that they're just forms of divine love as part of your story. And it is so beautiful. It's a support system for you. It's a guidance for you, and it's all one with you. God has an amazing sense of humor. Amazing sense of humor. So when you go inside, it's not, it's very informal. There is nothing formal about it. Because at first I thought there was all this formality. And, I heard all you have to do is say hi, Deb. Just say hi to Jesus. And I was like, okay, I'll say hi. And we just started talking like brother and sister.
Well,
Big brother.
An example, Kimberly, of this the other day, as I was talking with Terry and Deb, Archangel Michael said to me, "Get your bunny on." And it was about preparing something for Enlightened World Network for Easter and reveling in the joy and the celebration of Easter. But to hear Archangel Michael say, "Get your bunny on," was like, what? Yeah, sometimes it throws me, the things that I hear.
Yeah. It's beautiful, actually, because part of this journey is not to be so serious and to lighten up. And that's been one of my things to work on, is because I took everything so seriously before. So trying to have fun with it. John the Baptist asked me at one time, he said, "What is wrong? Do you not like being you? Do you not like being Deb?" And I was like, whoa. And at the moment I thought, well, I don't know. What am I saying to myself? What am I asking for? What are my expectations? And it's also like saying you don't want to be God. This is how you were created. You're supposed to have fun and enjoy your life being you, like the character in the book. Like, this is who you were prepared for. This is what your story is all about. And there's so much joy in it that we can miss all the time if we are bombarded in that ego consciousness. But it is there for a reason. Like, if I didn't have some of those ego thoughts, it wouldn't send me back to God. It wouldn't send me back home and saying, help me understand this some more. Is this right? We're starting a new show about expanding our consciousness on Enlightened World Network, right? What's called The Broader View.
Right.
So
the broader edge.
The broader edge. Okay. So this is about expanding your consciousness, and you almost need the ego to help you do that while we are in this experience. And it keeps bringing you back to home. I need clarification. And you know what? They never get tired of telling you the same thing every single day.
Right.
You will hear the same thing every single day. And so right now I'm in a trust period of learning how to trust myself and what I've been taught, and applying all the tools that I was given and the truth to operate right now in this world that doesn't make sense. Because it doesn't. So it's trying not to make sense out of it, because you can't. And I was told, just accept what is. Don't have to label it good or bad. It just is. And remembering that everything is in divine order. To miss out on this relationship inside yourself is it's a loss. It is a loss. And Brian, my husband, and I had a discussion today. He was reading something about how we could get to a place of such despair, destruction, losing everything, and then we start to look for God. And my message is, because this is what Jesus taught me, is you don't have to go there to find the love that is inside of you. You do not have to wait you can start asking questions. That's all you have to do, is start asking questions. Is there more to life than what I just see? And what is inside me that I'm missing out on? What are the treasures I'm missing out on in my life? And open your heart to hearing the answers. And as you do this, the most profound love will come through in its own way, just for you, whatever you connect with. And it is always good, and it is always loving, and nothing else can really teach you that you are the love and the light and the peace and the hope in this world. But you have to have it yourself first. You have to have it yourself first. And what an opportune time right now to explore that some more and not be afraid. I know it's scary sometimes to, like, people are afraid, like, what am I going to hear? What am I going to, if I go inside and ask, what am I going to hear? Like, and I was afraid. And those are the words of the ego. Ooh, I'm going to hear something that I don't like, or I'm going to hear that I have to do something that I don't want to do. Or I'm going to hear that God's not happy with me in some way. And I promise you that there is absolutely no truth to this at all. There is nothing but perfection about you. Even if you're sitting here with the covers over your head, you are loved, and you are perfect, and you are whole, and you are not broken. You are just choosing to experience this moment the way that you are. But you are not sitting there by yourself. Your hand is being held, whether you see it or not. And God is calling everybody home. God's calling everybody home.
So when you say that sentence, Deb, my brain goes to, oh, everybody's going to die. Is that?
Well, it's true that every day, someday, we're all going to die. We die in the story. It is the end of our character role. It is the end of our story.
Right. Nobody's getting out of this alive.
No, but our consciousness lives on forever. Our spirit, our divine consciousness is all that we are. And that is eternal. So this body goes away, but you do not die. No, it's not possible. Energy cannot separate. Energy cannot die. And that's all that we are, is beautiful love energy. And so as you, so when I say come home, it means come home to your heart. Come home to the love in your heart that's waiting for you. Because part of this journey is getting it's opening the steel door around your heart that everybody, has this protection. I don't want to get hurt. I'm gonna lose something, or it's sort of like, kind of like this virus thing that's going on. I started thinking about being a little kid and people saying you had cooties, right? Like, everybody's got cooties now. What the heck is that about? There's no truth to this.
Right.
We've gone our whole lives, and if you look at the scientific world, we have carried all kinds of viruses or diseases inside of us. That's what the scientific world says, right? Germs, bacteria, and we interact every day with people, and we do all kinds of things, and we're okay. Sometimes people get sick, sometimes they die, and we deal with that. We cope with that. And unless you have a real understanding of trusting God and that everything's in divine order and that people don't really get hurt, it's hard to navigate this life. Sometimes I felt like it was easier before I woke up because then I just thought everything was just crazy, that I was crazy. And and then I wake up to find out, no, I'm not crazy, but oh my goodness, there's a lot of work to be done that I didn't know about before. I had no idea that there was ego consciousness. I had no idea that something tried to keep me from my heart. I didn't know that the love of my life was inside of me. I didn't know that it's our job to keep waiting inside and going inside to find your own self, to find the magnificence of who you are, and then to try to own it, to try to really own it and take it in, and um, and and see your wholeness, because it is a complete contradiction that we know all of these things and then we can't believe it. It won't stick, right? It won't stick 24/7. We're just like, okay, now I'm over here. Oh, I forgot that. No, that's right, I'm the light. Oh, okay, I'm gonna come over here. Oh, now I'm back over here again. And so owning, standing in your divine authority and staying there takes lots and lots and lots of time with divine love holding your hand and spending time with you and talking with you.
You know, it's so interesting that you just said owning your or standing in your divine authority, because one of the subtitles of one of our days of transformation is own your divine authority. Mm-hmm. So yeah, very cool.
Yeah.
I'm reminded of one of our last days of transformation. Neela Minocha shared with us that this pandemic is as if the universe or Divine Mother said, go to your room, right? Separate, go to your room, and Mother Nature is going to work on healing and preparing for what's coming next, but go to your room. And I'm remembering when my oldest, you know, she was raised at the time that timeout was a thing. And I would go to put her in timeout. That child would not stay in timeout. And as soon as I turned around, she was right behind me. I mean, it scared her, I think, to her core to be separated from me. And so I learned very quickly to do time in with her, because that's what her little body and mind needed. And I'm thinking about some of us that we're being told to go to our rooms. And some of us can go to that place, come home, right? We can go in and we can be quiet and we can work on it and we can process it and we can be open. And others of us are going, oh, no, don't tell me to go to my room. I'm not going to my room. And they're not allowing themselves that opportunity to exhale and process and go inward and go upward. They're just not allowing that because it's scary or pushing buttons or don't tell me what to do, But I think some of our friends are just going, I'm not going there. I'm not going quiet. And they're missing out on this time of learning and experiencing.
Yeah, and that's all the ego. The ego does not want you to go inside. So understanding that you're always fighting it, because even now, like the other day when I was said, okay, I need to do some inner child work, there was a part of me going, oh God, do we have to do that again? Didn't I do that already so many times? But you know what? It is what it is. You're going to have to go and tend to yourself. You have to tend to your inner self. This whole journey is about mastering your internal world. And every single one of us learned how to master the outside world and manipulate and do all the things that we need to do to live in this outside world. So when you are awakened and when you're on this journey, it's all about you mastering the energy of you, the internal world, and understanding how your mind works, and that there is only one mind, yet there's this veil of unconsciousness, the ego, that keeps appearing, and you think it's your voice. And then it's stopping you from doing the things that are so important to you. And this is why a lot of us, we talk a lot about standing up and shining, right? To come out of your shell, to shine. The ego will do everything it can not to do that, or it works the other way and says, I'm great, here I am, right? At the same time, the ego gives you some energy because we have a passion. We have passion in our heart that God has given us as part of our story. Every single person has a purpose and a passion. And it's not just spreading love and light everywhere. It is about, there's a unique gift that you have been given. And so, believe it or not, having some ego helps you bring the energy to bring that passion to life. So there's always these forces. They're opposing, then they're together, then they're opposing and together. And so we are learning how to be an alchemist of our energy all the time. And you get taught this from inside. So other people help you so much and support you on your journey, but nobody can tell you what your path is and why you're here.
That's right.
And what your unique journey and your gifts and talents are that comes from inside.
Yep, that's beautiful. It is such an individual journey.
Mm-hmm. For everybody, and it just never stops. The story is beautiful. The story of you is beautiful, and trying to take in your wholeness and richness of who you are is the journey. I know I waffle in and inside of back and forth constantly with, okay, I know who I am, and then all of a sudden I'm over here. And I'm like, well, who's in charge now? Oh, I got a 5-year-old in charge of me right now that believes stuff from when I was 5 years old. Now I have to come back over here and be a mom to me, be a mom to my 5-year-old part of me that needs loving because she's insecure.
Yes, or when you find your 5-year-old self feels like the best way to deal with the pandemic is to eat the Easter candy.
Yes.
Yes. Stop.
Yeah.
You're not helping anything.
Yes, right. However, it is what it is, and you're perfect in that moment because you get to witness yourself and say, what's going on here? I need to do some work. And then it's wanting to take the time to do that work.
Right. Deb, can you show them your teddy bear? Is it right there?
No, actually, it's back in my bedroom again.
So when Deb does her inner child work, she gets out her teddy bear.
Mm-hmm.
It's literally about this big. And she and I were joking yesterday because she said I had to go in and do some inner child work. And I said, don't make me get that teddy bear.
It's actually perfect. I learned that from Margaret Paul from Inner Bonding. And she uses the teddy bear to show you how you can really start to visualize your little self and feel like that little self is in your arms, that you're holding your own self. And it is so, so healing. It is amazing how healing it is. So it sounds a little silly that I'm 62 years old and I use a teddy bear, but it works. And I've used that in my practice with many people, and they all responded really, really well to starting to, men and women, of really appreciating trying to connect with their inner child and have compassion and love for yourself wherever you are in any moment.
Yeah, it's sweet. Can I just do a reminder? One of our dear soul sisters, Camille DeSalm, is still in the hospital and dealing with some pain. So If anybody has time and space in their heart, please hold out beautiful, loving, healing thoughts for Camille Desom.
We'll do that. And we're going to do that for everybody. Wherever you are right now, we're praying for people. We're praying for your happiness, for peace, for joy, for health, well-being. We're praying that each person connect to their own source of life that gives them the safety and the protection of knowing that they're not alone and that there is a divine plan for each one of you and that you are loved so, so very much. So that is for everybody. And we're going to say goodbye for now, knowing we are one love, protected and held in divine order by our Creator. Go out this day in the awareness and allow God's peace and joy to occupy every thought. Lead with your heart and welcome everyone home, for all are loved.
That's beautiful. Deb, thank you so much. On behalf of EWN and everyone who's viewing, thank you so much for stepping into your leadership, stepping into your ministry, and stepping into your role as friend, because you are our friend, our sister, and our teacher. So thank you.
Oh, thank you for this opportunity, Ruth. Enlightened World Network is Ruth's baby, and it is beautiful, and it is a beautiful extension of her. So thank you for giving us all this platform of sharing love and support.
And to everybody watching, so much love to each and every one of you. Take good care of yourself, and God bless, and we'll see you soon. Thank you.
Bye-bye.